Hello guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto died and sent to the My Little Pony universe with Harem? Part 4. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. It has been a couple of weeks since Naruto had his first adventure in another world. He decided to relax at his favorite spot, which is at the top of a grassy hill overlooking the town, after working on his latest project at his shop, the Whirlpool. Now I see why Shikamaru always liked to lay back and stare at the clouds all day. It makes one relax and forget all about their troubles, said Naruto as he laid on the grass and stared at the clouds in the sky while feeling the breeze blow through his mane. Luna had visited his mindscape a few nights ago to hear of his adventure in the other world and was quite excited to hear it. She also thanked Naruto for the Gracidia flowers as she and Celestia loved them before leaving. Naruto continued to look at the clouds for a while until he started to feel drowsy. His eyes were slowly closing until he heard a rumble and felt the ground shake, which startled him awake. He quickly scrambled to his hooves and looked around. What's going on? Is it an earthquake? I'd better head back to the town and find out. Naruto galloped back into town and saw many ponies running around in a panic, with some locking their doors and others their windows. Naruto saw Pinkie Pie moving along the street while being carried by the vibrations of the ground shaking. "Naru, say, doesn't this make my voice sound silly?" asked Pinkie Pie. "I have to admit that it does, but what's going around here?" said Naruto, smiling a bit. Pinkie was about to answer when Rainbow Dash flew down and spoke. "It's a stampede, Naruto." Naruto's eyes widened as he thought back to when he was being chased by a stampede of bulls on his way to the Chunin exams back at Konoha. It gave him nightmares for a couple of weeks until he finally got over it. Naruto peered into the distance and saw that it was a stampede of cows heading towards the town. "What should we do to stop the stampede?" asked Naruto. He could see Marem trying to get the ponies to calm down, but to no avail. "Wait, look over there." Naruto and every pony turned to where Rainbow Dash had pointed and saw a familiar orange mare wearing a Stetson hat with a dog running alongside her. "It's Applejack and her dog Winona." "Yeehaw. Alright girl, you know what to do," said Applejack. Winona barked in affirmation as she moved to one side of the stampede while AJ was at the other side. Naruto noticed that Trixie and the other element bearers had shown up and were watching. "This is the best rodeo show I've ever seen," said Pinkie as she munched on a bag of popcorn. Naruto shook his head in amusement. "You can always count on Pinks to make a bad situation look like fun." Every pony watched as Applejack took out her lasso, twirling it around before latching to the cow in front of the stampede. She then pulled with all her strength and was able to make the cow to veer off the road and away from the town, with the other cows following. She did it. Naruto and every pony cheered, with Pinkie waving a flag with an apple drawn on it, much his confusion, but shrugged it off that she may brought it out of the beads that he had given her. After talking to the cows and seeing them off, Applejack and Winona went back to the others as they stood on top of a hill with the sun behind them to form quite an interesting heroic appearance before galloping away with every pony cheering her on. "If I had a backdrop like that, I'm sure that I would have impressed the others back at Konoha," thought Naruto as he imagined himself standing on top of the Hokage monument with the sun behind and the crowd chanting his name. "But then my jumpsuit would have ruined it." Naruto trotted over to Twilight and Rarity, who were talking to Mare. "That was quite brave of Applejack. We must do something to thank her for single-handedly saving the town," said Mare. "I know, let's have a party," said Pinkie Pie, hopping up to them. "That's a great idea. We'll also present an award to her that way." "You can leave the party planning and decorations to Pinks, Rare and I to handle," said Naruto. Later on, Naruto and the others had decorated the town square with balloons, streamers, ribbons and other things. "Are we all set?" asked Twilight. "Not quite." Rarity used her magic to lift the banner and hang it in place. "Now we're all set." "Perfect. Is Applejack all set?" "Actually, I haven't seen her all week," said Rainbow Dash, who landed next to them with Naruto, Pinkie Pie and Trixie following. "Not since the stampede," said Pinkie. "Trixie hasn't been seeing her around town either," said Trixie. "As a matter of fact, I don't think any pony has seen her even before the stampede," said Naruto after thinking back on the past few days. "Don't worry about it, Naruto, she'll show up for sure. Applejack is never late," said Rainbow Dash. "Dear Dash, Applejack has never left us hanging," said Naruto with a smile. An hour later, every pony had gathered at the town square and were standing in front of the stage. As Twilight walked over to the podium, she took out a stack of paper from her medallion and arranged them with her magic. "Leave it to Twilight to plan things to the smallest details," thought Naruto with a soft chuckle. "Hello, every pony. Today we are here to honor a pony we can always count on to help in matters great and small." A pony whose contributions to Twilight was then interrupted by Rainbow Dash, who flew up to the podium much to Naruto's amusement. "Did you see Applejack's slick moves out there? What an athlete." This week, she's gonna help me with my new flying tricks, and I know it's gonna be awesome, said Rainbow Dash before she was ushered off the stage. Naruto wondered why she didn't call for him as they always come up with tricks together, but concluded that she didn't want to bother him since he's working now. Now as I was saying, Twilight resumed her speech only to be interrupted again by Pinkie Pie. This week, I get to run the Sugar Cube corner for the first time. What does that have to do with Applejack? Asked Twilight. Naruto knew exactly what Pinkie was talking about since he had been living with Applejack before moving to the Uzumaki mansion. That's because Applejack, who is one of the best bakers ever, is gonna help me. Applejack makes everything great, so there will be free samples for every pony. Naruto and the crowd cheered loudly at the announcement. Okay then, now if I could make a point without being entered this time it was Fluttershy who came to speak up. Naruto could see one of Twilight's eyes twitching in annoyance. Sorry Twilight, but I just wanted to mention that Applejack will also be helping me with the official bunny consensus, where we count up all the baby bunnies that were born this year. She will be most helpful with her wonderful herding skills. After Fluttershy left the podium, Twilight was looking among the crowd to see if anyone else would interrupt her speech. Now is there anyone else who has something to say? Okay, now I was saying Twilight noticed that Naruto was pointing to her right and turned to see Marem standing next to her. Ugh, fine. She walked off the stage and stood next to Naruto while pouting. I worked so hard on that speech, said Twilight with her cheeks puffed out. I'm sure that it would have been a great speech Twilight. Maybe I could come by and listen to you read it, said Naruto with a foxy grin. Thanks Naruto, said Twilight with a bright smile, then they turned their attention to Marem as she gave her speech. And so, with no further ado, it is my privilege to give the prize, Pony of Ponyville Award, to our beloved guest of honor, a pony of the most trustworthiness, reliability, and integrity. Ponyville's most capable and dependable friend. Applejack. Naruto turned his attention from the golden trophy to the curtains, as they were raised only to reveal an empty space, much to the surprise of every pony. AJ not being here? That's pretty unusual of her, said Naruto. The others nodded in agreement as they know very well that AJ is never late for anything. I'm here, they heard Applejack's voice as she moved through the crowd until reaching the podium. Naruto noticed that she was carrying baskets full of apples which were spilling on the floor and saw the bags under her eyes which piqued his curiosity. Miss Mayor, thank you kindly for giving me this award, said Applejack, who was continuously yawning while swaying a bit. Well, we wanted to thank you for saving us from the stampede from before and being a pony whom we can count on, said Twilight. It's no problem at all, I always like helping out every pony and other things, so thanks for the award, said Applejack before grabbing the trophy with her teeth and dragging it back to her home with every pony watching her leave. Hey, doesn't Applejack seem a little, said Twilight. Tired? Said Rainbow Dash. Busy? Said Fluttershy. Messy? Said Rarity, receiving looks from the others. Well, did you see her mane? Twilight then noticed Naruto walking away and went after him. Hey Naruto, where are you going? There seems to be something going on with Applejack since she is not being her usual self, if her tiredness is anything to go by, so I'm heading to Sweet Apple Acres to find out, said Naruto. Then I'm coming along too, I want to find what she's been up to the past few days for her to look like that, said Twilight. The two ponies soon reached the farm, there they saw Granny Smith at the porch relaxing on her rocking chair. Hello Granny, said Naruto. Oh howdy there Sonny, I haven't been seeing you come around in a while. You should visit us more often, said Granny Smith. Will do Granny, we came here to see Applejack. Well she's over at the orchard at the moment, I hope you can get some sense in that young filly as she's as stubborn as her mother. Thanks Granny Smith, said Twilight. They went to the orchard where they saw Applejack trying to buck apples from the tree, only to knock over a bucket of apples. Naruto quirked an eyebrow at this since it's not like her at all. What is that pony doing? Asked Twilight. I was wondering the same thing Twilight, said Naruto as they approached Applejack who was drooping off to sleep. Applejack, Twilight called out to the mare several times, but she didn't respond, so Naruto stood in front of her and called out loudly. Hey, AJ. Applejack quickly woke up with a startled look on her face. Oh howdy there Twilight, Naruto. What's going on here? Asked Twilight. It's Applebuck season. What season is that? Asked Naruto. During his time at the farm, he hadn't heard of it. It's what we apples call the harvesting time, we gather all the apples from the trees so that we can sell them, said Applejack. If so, then why are you doing it all alone? Because Big Mac had gotten himself hurt. But what about all the relatives we saw when I first came to Ponyville? Asked Twilight. They were just here for the family reunion, they actually live all over Equestria and are busy harvesting their own orchard, so I'm on my own. Are you sure about this AJ? You don't look like your normal self, said Naruto feeling concerned for her. Don't worry about me Naruto, I'll be just fine. Don't you need help? Asked Twilight. No, I don't need your help, said Applejack. At age A, with the help of my shadow clones, we can harvest the entire orchard in no time at all, said Naruto, trying to reason with Applejack. Nah, I won't be needing your clone thingies for this, I can handle it on my own. But there's no way you can do this alone, said Twilight. Applejack walked up to her with an angry look on her face. Is that a challenge? No, it isn't. That's what I thought. Now if you'll excuse me, I've got apples to buck. Applejack walked away from them while trying to keep her balance. What do you think we should do, Twilight? Even I, who is known to be hyperactive, can't possibly do this alone, said Naruto. Maybe we should leave her for now, when she gets too tired she will ask for our help, said Twilight. I'm not so sure about that, remember that Granny told us that age A can be stubborn, but I hope you're right, said Naruto as they left the orchard and were about to go their separate ways. I'll be coming around later to return the book which I took from you. Okay, I'll see you later, said Twilight before walking off. After passing by his house and collecting the book, Naruto was on his way to the library when he saw Rainbow Dash standing on a fence and thought to say hello. Hey Dash, what's up? Said Naruto, waving at her. Hey Naruto, I'm waiting for Applejack to show up and help me out with my ideas for my tricks that will surely grab the attention of the Wanderbolts, said Rainbow Dash with stars in her eyes, to which Naruto chuckled softly at. So how are you to do it? You see that contraption? Naruto turned to where Dash pointed and saw a wooden structure placed in the middle of the street. With it, Applejack will be able to launch me into the air much faster than I can on my own, then I will perform my newest tricks. That sounds good, maybe next time I'll come around and help you with your aerial tricks. Are you sure, Naruto? I mean, won't you be busy with your shop? Asked Rainbow Dash. I won't be so busy that I wouldn't help someone close to me achieve her dream. Naruto was then hugged by Rainbow Dash, much to his surprise. Thanks Naruto, you're the best. Don't mention it, Dash, I'll catch you later. Naruto continued on his way to the library where he met Spike at the door. Yo Spike, is Twilight in? Asked Naruto, smiling. Hi Naruto, Twilight is at the balcony reading, said Spike. Okay, I was going to return the book which I took from her, said Naruto. Then he walked up the stairs and until he arrived at the balcony where he saw Twilight sitting on the floor with books around her. Oh hey Naruto, said Twilight. Hi Twilight, I brought the book back so I thought I should let you know, said Naruto. They kept on talking until Naruto sensed something heading towards them at a high speed. His instincts took over as he formed a chakra arm and caught it when it got close. They took a closer look to see that it was Rainbow Dash, who looked a bit ruffled. I know I said catch you later, but I didn't mean it literally, said Naruto with a raised eyebrow. Can we help you? Asked Twilight. I think some pony else needs your help, said Rainbow Dash. Does it have something to do with Applejack? Asked Naruto. Yeah, she launched me into the air before I was ready. I'll go talk to her while you help Rainbow Dash, said Twilight before teleporting away. Naruto escorted Rainbow Dash back to her home in the clouds before walking to the park to clear his mind and think of ways to convince Applejack to let them help her. He was deep in thought when he heard someone call his name. Mom, look, it's Naruto. Naruto turned to see who called out to him and smiled upon seeing Derpy and Dinky, who was running towards him, and jumped onto his back. Hello Dinky, Derpy, I haven't seen you in a while, said Naruto with a smile. Well, you haven't been coming over to play with me, Dinky pouted, to which Naruto chuckled softly. Sorry about that Dinky, I was busy at my new shop making crystals like the one I made for you. Naruto poked at the necklace around Dinky's neck with his tail. So what are you up to? We were on our way to the Sugar Cube corner to try out the free samples when we saw you, and Dinky ran towards you, said Derpy. Well, since you're here, why don't we have some fun before going to the Sugar Cube corner, said Naruto. Dinky started bouncing on his back excitedly at the prospect of playing with him, since she wasn't able to do that in a while. Naruto and Dinky played a game of tag followed by hide and seek. They were playing tic-tac-toe when Naruto saw Twilight running past them with Spike on her back. Where do you think they're going off to? Asked Derpy. I don't know, but it looks serious, let's follow them. Naruto had Dinky climb onto his back and ran after them with Derpy flying close behind. Soon they caught up with them at the urgent care and were shocked upon seeing many ponies in sickbeds with buckets close to them, even Pinkie Pie was among them. Naruto walked up to Twilight to find out what's going on. Twilight, what happened here? I don't know, I was called by Nurse Retier to come over here, said Twilight. Then a female earth pony walked up to them. She has a coat of white with a pink mane and tail and a cutie mark of a medical red cross. Miss Retier, what happened here? Asked Naruto. It was a mishap of baked goods, said the nurse. They turned their attention to Pinkie Pie when she spoke up. No, not baked goods, baked bad, Pinkie moaned before throwing up in the bucket. But how? I thought Applejack was supposed to help Pinkie at the Sugar Cube corner today, said Derpy. Naruto and Twilight's eyes widened in realization of what really happened. Applejack must have mixed up the ingredients, which is possible in her current state of mind, thought Twilight. Makes me glad that we didn't show up early, said Naruto, to which Derpy and Dinky nodded rapidly in agreement. Later, Naruto and Twilight went to the orchard sea to speak to Applejack again. They found her walking in her sleep and ended up hitting a tree. Applejack, we need to talk, said Twilight. I know what you're going to say and the answer is still no. Applejack walked to a nearby tree and positioned herself next to it. I'm going to prove to every pony that this apple can buck these apples. Then she started kicking the tree only to kick harder when no apple fell. Come on apples, start falling already. Those apples would have fallen if you weren't hitting a dead tree, said Twilight. Applejack looked up to see that it was true. Oh, I knew that all along, Applejack walking off to the next tree. Sure you did, said Naruto sarcastically before following her along with Twilight. Applejack, you need to listen, Naruto and I have just come from the Ponyville urgent caravan, Twilight was saying, but was interrupted by Applejack. You know, I'm too busy to be listening to your lectures. But AJ, if you let us help you, it would be a whole lot easier for you, said Naruto. How many times do I have to say it, Naruto? I don't need any help from any pony, said Applejack. Walked faster, leaving them behind. Ugh, that pony is just too stubborn, Twilight groaned in frustration. Tell me about it, now I know how the others felt back at Konoha, said Naruto, thinking back. Later on, Naruto was at home in his workroom, working on some new sealing formula. He was inscribing some seals into one of the crystals when the table started to shake and the items fell to the floor, much to his surprise. What the hey is going on? Naruto quickly dashed out of the house and into the streets to see the ponies panicking again. Twilight then ran up next to him. Could it be another stampede? Asked Twilight. It seems like it. Naruto peered into the distance to see a stampede of baby bunnies. Baby bunnies, what could possibly have them stampede into the town? Asked Twilight. Bunnies raided the gardens and consumed all of the flowers before anyone could stop them. Naruto and Twilight saw Fluttershy trying to stop the bunnies and walked over to her. Shy, what happened here? Asked Naruto. Well, Applejack came over today to help me with the bunny consensus, but she ended up frightening them and they ran off, said Fluttershy. Upon hearing this, Naruto had a look of seriousness and noticed that Twilight shared the look. This has gone on far enough, for Twilight. It's either she lets us help or we stop her from doing any more to have her rest. You're right, Naruto, let's go. Twilight used her magic to teleport them to the orchard. When they saw Applejack still bucking apples like her life counted on it. AJ, enough is enough, you have to let us help. You're about to pass out from exhaustion, said Naruto. Not now, Naruto, I'm almost done, said Applejack. Applejack, your apple bucking hasn't only caused you problems, but it has overpropelled Pegasuses, poisoned ponies, and even terrorized bushels of baby bunnies. We don't care what you say, you need help, said Twilight. Now I don't, as you can see I was able to harvest all of the apples without your help, said Applejack with pride. How'd you like them apples? Naruto looked to see that she had harvested the apples like she said, but when he continued to look, his eyes upon what he saw and noticed Big Mac walk up to with a knowing look on his face. Think we should tell her? Yep, said Big Mac. They turned to Applejack. Applejack, there's something we need to tell you. Applejack turned to Naruto. How'd you like them apples? Every pony turned to look at where Big Mac pointed only to see more apples ready for harvesting. It seems like you were only halfway done, said Naruto. Applejack mumbled incoherently before, much to the worry of the others. Later, she woke up to notice that Naruto had used his tail for a makeshift pillow. AJ, thank goodness that you're okay, you really had me worried there, said Naruto smiling. Applejack knew that Naruto cared for her and the others and felt ashamed for having refused his help. Now Applejack, we completely respect the Apple family ways and you're always there to help any pony in need, so maybe you could a little bit of your stubborn pride aside and let us help you, said Twilight. Okay, Twilight, said Applejack after looking at the apples in the orchard. And we not taking no for answer. What did you say? Yes, Twilight, Naruto. Please, I could really use your help. Naruto smiled gently before helping Applejack to her hooves and giving her a hug. Geez, all you had to do was ask, said Naruto. Sorry Naruto, and thanks, said Applejack while trying to hide her blush. Later in the day, Naruto called Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie and Rarity over to help out with the harvesting. Naruto used his shadow clones, while Twilight used her magic to pluck the apples from the trees and deposit them in the buckets. They were able to harvest a large amount of apples before Applejack called out to them. How about y'all take a little break? I've got some fine apple juice waiting for you, said Applejack. They all gathered at the tram. Naruto closed his eyes and said Kai. Then they heard several poofs and noticed that Naruto stumbled a bit before regaining his balance. Naruto, are you okay? Asked Fluttershy worriedly. I'm fine, Shy, it's just that when my clones dispel, not only do I gain their memories but their exhaustion as well, said Naruto. I guess even a technique like yours has side effects, Twilight having unsealed a scroll and was writing it down before sealing it back into her medallion. Every pony, I want to apologize. I was being a bit stubborn, said Applejack. A bit? Asked Twilight while Naruto smirked. Okay, a mite stubborn, and I'm really sorry. I know the town gave me the prize pony award, but the real award is you all as my friends. Then she glanced at Naruto and maybe something more. You all, that apple bucking has made me hungry, said Rainbow Dash. Then I've got the perfect treat, said Spike carrying some muffins in his claws. Spike, I threw all those away. Where did you get them? Asked Pinky. From the trash, Spike replied. Spike, that's gross, said Twilight. Spike, can I take a look at those muffins? Asked Naruto. Spike held them out to him. Naruto grabbed the muffins with a chakra arm and tossed them into the air. Pyro breath. Naruto produced flames from his mouth to burn the muffins to nothing, much to the relief of the mares and the ire of the young dragon. Oh, why did you do that, Naruto? Spike whined. That's because they're bad, and besides, I can treat you all some ramen, said Naruto. Ramen. Pinkie Pie bounced around excitedly. I'm definitely up for some, said Rainbow Dash, who was just as excited. Alright then, let's go. Naruto led the mares to his house to cook for them as Celestia's sun sets. Near the outskirts of Ponyville is a wild wooded area called the Everfree Forest. Many ponies say that it is a mysterious place which serves as a home to many varieties of plants and animals. It is also known to possess a quality which allows them to thrive on their own without the invention of ponies, something that they consider unnatural. Many of those who entered the forest never came back out, with only a few able to return to tell the others their stories of things which they have never seen or heard before. At the moment, if one has a good sense of hearing, then would have heard the sound of thumping coming from the forest, as if there is a fight going on. The scene changes to within the midst of the forest where a pack of animals resembling wolves, but made entirely of wood known to many as timberwolves, surrounded an orange unicorn wearing a black and orange hoodie jacket and a black headband with a leaf design on it. Normally a pony would have been quivering in fear, but not this pony known as Naruto Uzumaki, the pony ninja and the element bearer of purity, as he stared at the timberwolves surrounding him with a smirk on his face. So you guys think you got the jump on me? Naruto took the fighting stance, and the wolves tensed. Neither side moved until a leaf fell from a branch and floated to the ground. When it touched the ground they charged at each other, then think again. Naruto ducked under a swipe and responded with an uppercut, launching the wolf into the air. Chakura Terahoipu, he channeled chakra to his tail which glowed before whipping it at the airborne wolf and pulled it towards him. Take this, Rasengan. Naruto rammed the sphere into the wolf and kept on going until slamming into a tree, shattering it into pieces. Naruto backflipped just as two more came from behind with their claws stretched out, then he pointed his four hooves at them. Chakura no Dangan. Sakusha. Two runes appeared and unleashed white projectiles at a rapid rate, destroying the wolves. The Say no Ha, battle stance. Naruto summoned the glaive to his back as he turned to face the remaining timberwolves. Here I come, Windflaw Dash. Naruto charged at them well surrounded by the wind, knocking some of them into the air. The Say no Jichenji. Chakuramu. His glaive transformed into a chakram, Chakuramu Sakuran. Then he formed a chakra tendril and threw it at them. The chakram zipped through the wolves repeatedly and his horn crackled with lightning. Now for a combo, Bolt Chain. A stream of lightning shot out and struck one of the wolves before arcing off to the rest before falling to the floor charred and in pieces. The chakram returned to his back and reverted to the glaive. The wolf attacked from above in hopes of surprising the blonde stallion, but Naruto was aware as he used a chakra tendril to wrap around a tree and pulled himself over to evade. He landed on the tree trunk and then bounced off it right back at the wolf Garibu Make Originai. And ran it through with his glaive which was radiating with chakra. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto summoned 5 of his clones who stood next to him and faced the wolves. One of the clones rushed forward and punched a timberwolf. The original Naruto stepped on the clone's back, launched himself into the air. Naru 2. The remaining 3 clones all performed a double kick simultaneously, sending the wolf into the air towards the original. Naruto stomped on it, sending it crashing to the ground, creating a crater. Naruto turned around quickly, with chakra flowing through his 4 hooves to form claws, and raised one of them to block an incoming strike from the last of the timberwolves. Time for me to wrap this up. Naruto unleashed an onslaught of slashes on the wolf, with his chakra claws at a speed that is comparable to when Neji used the trigram 64 palms on him. Then he jumped and channeled chakra to his horn, Chakura Hansarasu. Taking the shape of a longer horn, Naruto sped forward and went past the wolf, then stopped behind it with his horn lowered. The timberwolf stood still for a few moments before finally collapsing to the ground and laid unmoving. Naruto exhaled as the chakra receded into his body and stretched a bit before looking back and smirking at the fallen wolves. Nothing like a good workout for a ninja like me, said Naruto while grinning. He had been venturing into the forest to train by fighting against the creatures. Doing this sharpens his skills as well as prep for any challenges or opponents in the future. But they weren't kidding about this place, a normal pony wouldn't be able to survive this place. Luckily, I'm not a normal pony. Naruto took a look at himself and saw that he was covered in tree sap from the wolves and grimaced a bit. I'd better get back home and wash up, I don't want smell like a tree. Then he leapt from tree to tree in the direction of Ponyville, completely unaware that someone was watching from behind the tree while wearing a black cloak. This is a first time for me to see someone wandering in the Everfree, said the pony before walking away. Naruto was leaping from tree to tree when something bright glinted from the corner of his eye. He stopped and backtracked and saw something sticking out of the ground. Well, what do we have here? Naruto dug around the strange item a bit before pulling it out of the ground. He was holding a stone tablet with a shiny ruby embedded in it. It also has a picture of an earth pony holding a scepter in her mouth and is surrounded by flames. What is something like this doing here in the Everfree forest? I think I'll take to Twilight, maybe she has a book or two which can tell us about it. Naruto was about to take off before looking at himself again. After I take a bath. After heading home and taking a bath like he intended, Naruto headed to Twilight's place and knocked on the door, only for Spike to open it. "Hi Naruto, how's it going?" said Spike. "Yo Spike, nothing but the usual. I'm just checking to see if Twilight is around," said Naruto. "She's at the library reading." "Thanks buddy." Naruto walked and soon found Twilight reading a book like always. "Hi Twilight," said Naruto happily. "Oh hello Naruto, what brings you around here?" said Twilight, smiling upon seeing him. "Actually, I found something interesting during my walk and I thought that I could bring it over and see if any of your books could have information about it," said Naruto. "Okay Naruto, but let's see it first," said Twilight. Naruto then approached the table. "Sure Twilight, release stone tablet." A white orb came out of the medallion and floated to the table before transforming into the tablet and laid itself on the table. Twilight looked at the tablet with a critical eye. An earth pony holding a scepter, I think I know which book to learn about it. She then called out to Spike. "Spike, could you bring the Equestrian Chronicles?" "Got it, Twilight." Spike climbed up a ladder and took out a large leather-covered book before bringing it over and placing it on the table. Twilight proceeded to flip through the pages until she finally stopped on a page which had an illustration bearing similarities to the image on the stone tablet. Here it is, according to the chronicles, we looking at none other than Pyro Flare, otherwise known as the Mare of Flames. The Mare of Flames? Why do they call her that? Asked Naruto with curiosity. It says that with the use of a scepter called the Infernal Flower, she can conjure up flames and manipulate any source of fire to do her bidding. Wow, that sounds so cool. It's almost like she's a dragon, said Spike, who had stayed behind to listen. According to history, she appeared in the battlefield to assist Equestria against the Griffins of Griffinstone during the Great War. Many soldiers spoke of how Pyro Flare used her infernal flower to go up against a legion of Griffins and emerge victorious. I've read about the Great War, and I've also read that Equestria and Griffinstone are under a ceasefire treaty. You're right about that Naruto. Even before I came to Ponyville for the first time, Princess Celestia has been attending meetings in order to gain an alliance with the Griffins. Anyway, back to the story, what happened to Pyro Flare? Asked Spike. Well, when the Great War ended, she left to where nobody knows, but before leaving, she gave us a mysterious riddle, said Twilight, reading from the book. What is the riddle? Asked Naruto. These are the words of the Mare of Flames. I shall lay to rest it where the flames will never die out. It seems like she was telling us where she would be buried, but at the same time not revealing its actual location, said Twilight. That's a weird riddle, where the flames will never die out. I mean, a flame on a candle will go out when all of the wax melts. The same goes for forest fires when they're put out, kitchen stoves, or even dragons when they breathe fire, said Spike. Spike, what you're thinking about are flames made artificially. Pyro Flare meant natural flames, but which Twilight was then interrupted by Naruto's sudden outburst. I've got it, the answer to the riddle, said Naruto with a look of realization. What do you mean? Asked Spike, who was a bit confused. What is the answer? The answer is in the riddle, Spike. The only place where flames will never go out is a volcano. Twilight's eyes widened in realization upon what he said. You're right Naruto, no amount of water can even put them out, especially when it's an active volcano. But the question is, which volcano? Asked Spike. Twilight used her magic to bring out a scroll from the bookshelf and unrolled it on the table to reveal a map of Equestria. According to the map, there is a volcano around here. She pointed at a mountain on the map. It has been active for a very long time. That must be where the tomb of Pyro Flare is. Then that's where I'm going, said Naruto with a look of excitement. Are you sure about this, Naruto? It could be dangerous, said Twilight worriedly. Of course, the infernal flower must have been kept there and I'm going to get it. It kinda scares me if other ponies were to figure out the riddle and try to find it, especially those who have ill intentions. Twilight slowly nodding at the logic and shivered at the thought of any pony using the scepter for their own gain. Besides, I can't sit out an adventure like this. Twilight giggled at his excitement. You almost sound like Daring Do. Daring Do, who's that? Asked Naruto with a raised eyebrow. I'm sure you would like her, she's an adventurer and treasure hunter who explores ancient temples and ruins in search of rare artifacts. An author by the name AK Yearling writes about her adventures, and I've even got all the books in the series. Whoa, I think I'll read some of those books when I get back. Naruto turned to leave before looking back. Wish me luck. Go get him, Naruto, said Spike. Good luck, Naruto, and come back safely, said Twilight. The blonde stallion nodded in affirmation and headed for his home to gear up. Later on, Naruto stood at the outskirts of Ponyville in a different attire. He now wears an all-black jacket with a hood up and a face mask on to hide his identity. He also sealed a few crystals, supplies and a map into his medallion and strapped a ninja pouch to his side, then told Trixie that he is going on a trip for a while. I'm all set, so let's get this adventure started. Naruto crouched down a bit, channeling chakra to his feet before taking off down the road, leaving behind a small crater and a cloud of dust. After a couple hours of running along the roads and sometimes leaping through the trees, we find Naruto perched at the top of a pine tree overlooking the forest while drinking from a canteen and looking at the map levitating in front of him with magic. According to the map, the mountain should be right over there. Naruto looked up from the map and looked to see a large mountain with smoke coming out of the top. Sealing the map and canteen back into the medallion, Naruto leapt off the tree and headed towards the mountain. Darn, can't seem to find any hidden entrance. I've been around the mountain twice and still nothing. Naruto stood there deep in thought until he had an idea. He started tapping the wall. He kept moving along the wall until the sound changed into a hollow one. I found it. Naruto created a chakra arm which formed a Rasengan, then he rammed it into the wall which exploded in a cloud of dust. It cleared to reveal a tunnel leading inside. He was about to enter when he heard a whipping sound before quickly jumping out of the way of the attack, then he turned to see who had attacked. She is a Pegasus with a body color of dark khaki with a mane and tail of 6 shades of gray. She wears a dark olive vest and a pith helmet with a dark olive band. Her cutie mark is a compass. Who are you? Asked Naruto. I should be the one asking you that question, said the mayor. Well, I ask you first. Fine, my name is Daring Do, said the mayor. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. Daring Do? As in the famous adventurer and treasure hunter? That's right, now will you tell me your name and what you're doing here? Asked Daring Do seriously. Whoa, what's with the attitude? Thought Naruto. My name is Hokage. Hokage? That's a strange name, said Daring Do with a raised eyebrow. It means fire shadow from I came from, said Naruto. I came here to find the infernal flower of pyro flare. Daring Do's eyes narrowed upon hearing what he said. And what do you intend to do with it? I plan to keep it at a safe place so as to prevent any pony with evil intentions from getting their hooves on it. Even with that reason, I can't trust you and I won't let you take it, said Daring Do. What is that supposed to mean? What are your reasons for suspecting me? Asked Naruto angrily. First, you hide your identity behind a disguise which makes you look suspicious. Second, I've just met you, but it doesn't mean that I should trust you just like that. You may be right, but I have my reasons as well. First, I hide my identity so that the ponies whom I care about will not be in danger. Second, I could tell that you're a pony with good intentions and I could trust you, which was why I told you my reasons, said Naruto. Daring Do looked at him a few moments before walking towards the tunnel without looking back at the stallion. I don't care about your reasons, just don't get in my way. Then she entered the tunnel. What's with her? It's like I'm dealing with the pony version of Gaara, except she isn't a killing psycho. I'd better go after her, Naruto grumbled before entering the tunnel as well. He kept moving along the tunnel until coming across Daring Do standing before a straight passage. Why are you standing around here? Asked Naruto. The mare turned around with an annoyed look on her face. What are you doing here? Well, you told me not to get in your way, but you didn't tell me to leave, so there, said Naruto with a smirk. Ugh, fine, but like I said, don't get in my way. Daring Do turned to face the passage. I suspect that there's a booby trap set up here. You may be right, a straight passage like this would not raise suspicions if you're an average pony. Naruto picked up a rock with his tail and tossed it ahead. It hit a hidden panel and flaming arrows shot out from the wall before sticking on the other side, confirming their suspicions. This is nothing for me. Daring Do flapped her wings and quickly flew to the other side and then turned to see how the stallion would get across. So how are you getting past the trap? I just don't have to touch the floor. Naruto took few steps back and channeled chakra to his feet before running along the wall and jumping to the other, repeating the motion until reaching the other side, much to the mare's surprise. Like that? At least, I won't have to worry about you taking care of yourself. Daring merely snorted and walked up with Naruto close behind, while looking a little annoyed. Upon exiting the passage, the duo came upon a large stone platform which is held up by 4 large chains. They also saw a stone golem sitting in the middle. Naruto looked down to see lava below them. "There's something over here," said Naruto pointing at an inscription on the wall. Daring Do took a closer look and slowly read it out loud. "In order to proceed, one must emerge victorious against the Guardian of the Earth," said Daring Do. "I guessing it means that we have to break that hunk of rock in order to continue." "No problem." Naruto walked out to the platform before Daring Do could stop him and stood in front of the stationary golem. "Hey Rocky, wake up. You have a date at the quarry, so let's get moving." Then the eyes and runes on its body glowed red and it slowly stood up and approached the pony ninja with the intent to attack. "Hokage, are you insane? It's far too dangerous to go up against a golem," shouted Daring Do. "Don't worry, I've handled stronger opponents than this walking boulder," said Naruto, then he charged at the golem. It launched a punch at the stallion, but Naruto flipped backwards and quickly ran up the arm all the way to the head and delivered a chakra-powered punch, shattering it into pieces. Naruto smirked, thinking that it was over, but it dropped when he saw the head reform. The golem stomped on the platform, causing the chains to loosen and drop it to just a few feet above the lava. "I guess you don't me running around too much," said Naruto, keeping an eye on the golem. "Hokage, are you okay?" Daring Do called from above. "Yeah, I'm fine, things just got a little harder." Naruto ducked under a swing from the rock giant and ran between its legs and turned around with his horn-glowing icicle shot. Then fired ice projectiles at the feet, holding it in place. Naruto jumped into the air and dived at the golem with a spinning orb in his hoof. "Take this, Rasengan." Naruto grinded through the stomach and landed on the other side and turned around, only to see the torso regenerate itself, as if the attack never happened in the first place. "Darn it, no matter how much I damage it, it just keeps on recovering from my attacks," thought Naruto. The golem then fired its stone fists at Naruto, forcing him to dodge left and right before returning to its body. Naruto was contemplating on a plan to take the golem once and for all when he heard Daring Do call out from above. "Hokage. Drive the golem off the platform and into the lava, it won't be able to reform that way." "Thanks for the tip." Naruto turned to face the golem again. It launched its fists at him again, but Naruto dodged them again, but this time took aim at them icicle shot. Fired ice projectiles, freezing them in place, then he shattered them with a few chakra-powered punches and kicks. Wine flood dash. He charged at the rock giant and rammed into it, sending it stumbling to the edge of the platform. While the golem was trying to regain its balance and not fall off, Naruto simply walked over and gave a small tap with his forehoof, sending it falling into the lava and sank into its depths. With the absence of the golem's weight on the platform, the chain slowly lifted it back to its original position and Daring Do went to meet up with Naruto. "Are you okay?" asked Daring Do. "I'm fine, but I thought you said that you won't need to worry about me," said Naruto. "I was just making sure that I don't have to watch over you," said Daring Do, walking past him and to the next area with Naruto looking at her with a calculative look before following after her. They entered the next room to see lava flowing in front of them, with the entrance to the next room at the other side with no way to cross. Daring Do was about to fly again, but Naruto stopped her. "Why are you stopping me?" Naruto pointed upwards. She looked to see stalagmites that look ready to fall at any given time. "By the look of things, this trap was set up to stop Pegasus from passing here, so we need another way to cross," said Naruto. "Then how do we get across? It's not like we can just make a bridge to cross." Naruto's eyes widened at hearing what she said and smiled. "Or maybe we can." Daring Do looked at him in surprise. Naruto stared at the ceiling as he used his tail to go through his pouch and pulled out a khaki-colored crystal. "What is that and what are you planning to do with it?" "This is an impulse crystal. It releases a non-lethal burst of magic stored within it, and I intend to knock down some of the stalagmites which we can use as stepping stones to get across." Naruto threw the crystal to the ceiling, and there was blast of magic which dislodged some stalagmites to fall into the lava with some parts sticking out. Naruto threw more of the impulse crystals until there were enough sticking out of the lava. "Let's get across quickly while we have time." Naruto jumped on each of them until he finally got across with Daring Do close behind, and they turned to see the stones melt into the lava. They continued along the tunnel until Naruto decided to break the silence. "Why is it that you work alone and refuse to accept help? You don't seem like the kind of pony to do that according to what I've heard from a friend of mine," asked Naruto. "It's because I prefer to work alone, it has always been that way in my adventures, and it always will," said Daring Do. "Even working with you is a risk I didn't want to take." Naruto stared at her for a while before speaking. "From the way I see it, you're afraid that if you become friends with others, they would get hurt during one of your adventures. That may be why you refuse to work with others." Daring Do stopped walking in surprise as Naruto continued on as she thought on his words. "Could that be the reason why I don't like working with others? Because I don't want to see any pony get hurt." Shaking her head to clear her thoughts, Daring Do quickly caught up with the stallion. They soon came out of the passage and followed a ledge which spiraled downwards to the bottom, then they stood before a large platform where a statue of dragon sits at the center. Curled around the tail is a crystal, and inside it is a pony with a body color of red with a mane and tail of crimson. She also had a cutie mark of a flame. That must be the body of Pyro Flare, the mare of flames, said Naruto. The crystal must have been preserving her body, but where's the scepter? Daring Do, look up there. She looked at where Naruto was pointing and saw in the jaws of the dragon a small golden staff with a red gem in the shape of a rose, and it was glowing. Okay then, I'll go and get it, said Daring Do, flying up towards the scepter. Be careful of any traps, said Naruto. Daring Do flew around the statue several times to find any signs of a booby trap and found none, then she proceeded to slowly pull the scepter out. Naruto was looking at the scepter and was curious about why it was glowing. I wonder why the infernal flower has been glowing all this time, as nobody has been holding it. According to history, it has the ability to control any type of flames, and yet Naruto's eyes widened in realization and tried to warn the mare Daring Do, don't pull it out. The scepter itself is a trap. But it was too late as she had already taken the scepter out and the glow faded away. The mountain started to rumble and shake as the duo looked around. What's going on? Asked Daring Do. It has been said that the scepter is capable of producing and manipulating any type of fire, so the scepter must have been the reason why the volcano was active for a long time and why it had never erupted, said Naruto. And since I've taken the scepter, the volcano is about to erupt, we need to get out of here. Music start. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 Ost, Crisis City. The duo quickly ran back up a spiraling ledge, all the while dodging the falling rock along the way. Daring Do took to the air, while Naruto pumped chakra into his hooves to keep up with her. There was a rumble and they turned to see the lava rising before entering the passage. We have to hurry, there's not much time left, said Daring Do flying faster. I guess that comes from personal experience, said Naruto running next to her, to which she nodded in affirmation. Several boulders fell in their path, blocking their way. But Daring Do was able to fly through the gaps with Naruto, using his freerunning skills to maneuver through them as well, but when the larger rocks were to block their way, Naruto would throw a few impulse crystals to destroy them in order to pass on through. As they were running, a plume of lava suddenly shot out from the ground right in front of them. Daring Do quickly performed a barrel roll to get out of the way, and Naruto ran along the wall while using chakra to stick to it, and they kept on going. Whoa, that was close, something tells me that we really need to step up before this place blows up, said Naruto. And something tells me you're right, said Daring Do. Without warning, a rock fell from above and struck one of Daring Do's wing, causing her to fall to the ground, and Naruto quickly doubled back to check on her. Are you okay? Asked Naruto. My wing is sprained, I don't think I can fly with it, said Daring Do. Then get on my back, said Naruto. She looked at him in confusion. Well, you won't be able to keep up with me, and we're short on time. Daring Do nodded at the logic and climbed to his back. Naruto wrapped his tail around her, so as to make sure that she stays on. Just hold on to the scepter, and I'll do the rest. Naruto pumped chakra into his hooves and ran even faster than he did before. They kept on going until they were almost at where the flowing lava and stalagmites are. Hokage, how are we going to get across? We won't have time to make stepping stones with the stalagmites, said Daring Do from his back. I thought of that, which is why I'm going to use my abilities, said Naruto, much to Daring Do's confusion. When they got there, Naruto jumped off the edge to her shock. As he lost his mind, we can't jump all the way to the other side. Naruto shot out a chakra tendril to latch onto a stalagmite and swung, then he released before shooting out another one to swing again and kept it up until they reached the other side, then he continued to run. I guess that's one of your abilities? Asked Daring Do and received a nod in return. Yes, and only I can do it, few ponies know about as it's a secret, said Naruto as he kept running. Another boulder fell in front, but Daring Do quickly grabbed an impulse crystal from Naruto's pouch and threw it at the boulder to destroy it and clear away. I must admit that these crystals are pretty useful, said Daring Do. Well, I got them from a friend of mine who lives at Ponyville. He owns a shop called the Whirlpool which sells different types of crystals, Naruto replied. There was a larger rumble from behind them. They turned to see lava rushing towards them. Hokage, hurry, it's coming, shouted Daring Do. I got it. Windflaw dash. Naruto ran faster with the wind flowing around. This helped them pull away and knock away any falling debris, and soon they were to escape from the mountain. Music end. Later, they were standing on a hill and were watching the volcano erupt as Celestia's sun was setting and Luna's moon slowly rose. I guess it's another day in the life for you, Daring Do? Asked Naruto. You're right about that, Hokage, but this has to be one of the most exciting for me, said Daring Do. So what happens now? Would you take the infernal flower with you? Daring Do looked at the scepter a few moments before holding it out to Naruto, much to his confusion. I think I'll give it to you. But why are you giving it to me? Asked Naruto. From what I've seen, I can tell that you can keep it safe from others. Besides, it's first come, first served since I met you at the mountain, said Daring Do. Naruto looked at her for a moment before taking the scepter. Okay, but if it's any consolation, release stone tablet. An orb floated out of the and transformed into the tablet, then he removed the barrier bracelet from his hoof. You can take these, so that you won't return empty-handed. Thanks, and maybe we'll meet again, said Daring Do with a smile. I hope so too, said Naruto with an eye smile since he's wearing a mask. They parted ways and returned to their homes. When Naruto returned to Ponyville, he took off his disguise and wore his normal clothes. Then he called Twilight and Spike over to his place and told them of his adventures. Twilight was quite excited to hear that he actually partnered up with her favorite heroine to find the infernal flower. I can't wait to see how the next book will turn out, said Twilight excitedly. Naruto then sealed the scepter into a scroll which can only be opened with his blood and hid it away in his workshop. Twilight and Spike promised to never reveal its existence until the situation called for it to be used. Somewhere in another part of Equestria, a pony sits at a table, looking at a manuscript with a satisfied look on her face. This has to be one of my best works yet, said the mare as she placed the manuscript on the table and left the room. We look to see the title written Daring Do and the scepter of the Mare of Flames with a mysterious shadow. It was another normal day in Ponyville as Naruto along with Twilight and Pinkie Pie were at the park. Naruto was reading one of Daring Do's books with interest, Twilight was reading a book as well, although he didn't bother to ask what she was reading about, and Pinkie was being quite descriptive with how Rainbow Dash performs her tricks. And then Rainbow Dash was like swish, zoom, swoosh and flew very high into the air. "Yuhe," said Twilight while she continued reading without looking up from her book. And then she looped around and was like woo, 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 woo. Pinkie twirled around a bit before falling to the ground from dizziness, then she got bounced over to Naruto. Don't you think so, Naru? Naruto looked up from his book with a smile. Of course Pink's Dash is an amazing flyer, and we all know it. Speaking of who, isn't that Dash flying over us? Pinkie Pie looked up to see that it was really Rainbow Dash flying over them and bounced off after her much to Twilight's relief. Finally, said Twilight. Twilight, you know that's just Pink's being amazed by Dash's flying skills and wants us to know about it, said Naruto turning a page on his book and continued to read. I know Naruto, but I really wanted to learn more about the history of your world. Twilight then closed the book and sealed it away in her medallion. Where are you going? There are some books that I want to pick up at the bookstore. Oh, then I'm coming too. Naruto placed a bookmark on the page before sealing it away in his medallion as well, then they walked into town when Pinkie Pie showed up again. Hey Naru, can you help me find Rainbow Dash? I've been looking all over for her, said Pinkie Pie. Isn't that not a right up there? Naruto pointed a hoof upwards for them to see a rainbow-colored tail sticking out of it. Rainbow Dash! Shouted Pinkie Pie, but then Rainbow Dash took off at high speed, with Pinkie Pie bouncing after her. Dash had better give up and listen to whatever Pinks has to say, as she'll always find her no matter where she hides, said Naruto with a look of amusement. What makes you say that? Asked Twilight. It's because Pinkie Pie always seems to find me no matter where I try to hide, so in a way it turned into a game of who finds who with her finding me more often. Twilight simply shrugged as she never tried to figure Pinkie Pie out. Later on, Naruto was at the mansion writing some sealing formulas on a scroll when he noticed that he was out of scrolls. I'd better head to the shop and restock on more scrolls. Naruto left the house and was almost at the scroll shop when he saw Rainbow Dash moving a cloud above the entrance and Pinkie Pie was hiding by the side of the building. What are those two up to? Then he saw Spike come out of the shop carrying a heap of scrolls in his arms while humming to himself. Pinkie gave a signal to Rainbow Dash who then kicked the cloud and a loud crash of thunder came out of it. The sudden sound startled Spike and led to him getting the hiccups. I get it now, they wanted to play a prank on Spike, Naruto laughed as he approached them. Oh Rainbow Dash, we startled Spike into getting the hiccups, said Pinkie Pie with Rainbow Dash chuckling. So you guys were planning to prank Spike, you should have invited me as you know how much I love playing pranks, said Naruto with a mischievous grin. You're right Naru, I can't believe I forgot about that. Good one Pinkie Hiccup Pie. Hiccup you're always pulling a fast one hiccup on me, Spike tried to pick a scroll, but he hiccuped a green flame and it disappeared. You're not hurt are you? Asked Pinkie Pie worriedly. Don't worry about it Pinks, dragons are fireproof. Right Spike. Said Naruto. That's Hiccup right, Spike picked more of the scrolls, but he hiccuped again, sending the scrolls to Canterlot, although I wish the same thing hiccup were true with scrolls. Meanwhile in Canterlot, Princess Celestia was reading the first scroll that was sent to her and was surprised when a ton of scrolls appeared and fell on her. Back at Ponyville, Naruto and the others were laughing at Spike who kept trying to pick up the remaining scrolls, but he kept hiccuping flames and sending them to Canterlot. Have you ever seen anything more hilarious? Asked Pinkie Pie while laughing. I can think of one thing, Rainbow Dash kicked the cloud again, startling Pinkie Pie to also get the hiccups, but they all laughed. You know Pinkie Pie, you're not as annoying as I thought. So you wanna hang out? Hiccup, that'd be hiccup, I'd really hiccup when do hiccup, I mean hiccup when would you hiccup. Pinkie Pie's hiccups kept throwing her all over the place, much to Naruto's amusement, until Rainbow Dash stopped her with a hoof. A simple nod will do, to which Pinkie Pie complied. You guys can count me in, there's no way I'm missing out on this, said Naruto excitedly. He hadn't done a good prank in a long time and was just itching to do so. Then welcome to the club, said Rainbow Dash. Later on, the trio were seen carrying baskets full of items for their pranks. They were hiding behind some bushes in front of the carousel boutique. Naruto sent one of his clones to drop a bouquet of flowers at the doorstep and rang the doorbell before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Is she even home? Whispered Rainbow Dash, to which Naruto nodded in affirmation. Yeah, since I can sense her aura, he replied. This is gonna be gold, Pinkie Pie snickered. Rarity opened the door to see the flowers on her doorstep. Now who would be so nice to leave these beautiful flowers for me? She bent down to sniff them, but a pink powder covered her snout and started to sneeze a lot. Asunder, Rarity turned to see Naruto and others standing nearby laughing with Rainbow Dash holding a can of sneezing powder. They ran off with Dash dropping the can in front of Pinkie Pie, making her fly backwards from her sneeze with Rarity looking at them with a smile. In the library, Twilight was experimenting with some chemicals. When she was focusing in the chemicals, a yellow tail holding a blue bottle appeared and poured a clear liquid into the ink pot before quickly disappearing. Twilight turned and used a quill to write some data on the scroll before returning to her work. But when she turned to check, everything that she wrote was gone and her experiment exploded. You can't read what you can't see. Twilight traced the voice to the window and saw Naruto, Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie laughing with Naruto, holding what seems to be a bottle of invisible ink with his tail. Twilight simply smiled at the harmless prank. Applejack was bringing a cart out of the barn when froze stunned at what she saw. All of the apples in the orchard had been painted in various colors and patterns. Land sakes. She then heard snickering and turned to see Naruto, Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash wearing black berets, each holding a palette of paint and a paintbrush. It's quite artistic, wouldn't you agree, AJ? Naruto didn't get his answer as he and the others had to hightail it out of there with Applejack throwing apples at them. When one of the apples fell into a barrel of water, Applejack noticed the paint washing off and the apple returning to its normal color and chuckled upon realizing that it was just a joke. Fluttershy was at the pond feeding the fishes and other animals, although one of the turtles looked suspiciously fake and there was a hidden hose in it connecting all the way to the other side of the lake and behind some bushes where Naruto and the others hid. Is someone over there? Who are we gonna squirt? Who are we gonna squirt? Pinkie Pie was bouncing excitedly with a button in her mouth, ready to press for the toy to shoot out water, while Naruto sat nearby wondering the same thing. Fluttershy, of course, said Rainbow Dash looking through a telescope. Whoa there, we can't do that to Shy, said Naruto worriedly. Naru's right, she's so sensitive and it will hurt her feelings, even with our most harmless prank, said Pinkie Pie with Naruto nodding in agreement. I guess you're right, then we need to prank someone else. Someone who's made of tougher stuff, so who's it gonna be? Said Rainbow Dash. Pinkie's shoulders were shaking and Naruto put up a poker face. We've got someone in mind, Pinkie giggled. Really? Who is it and do I know them? Of course you do, but before that you might want to look at the lake, said Naruto. Rainbow Dash looked at the water to see her reflection which had ink around her left eye. That was when Naruto and Pinkie Pie finally broke into laughter. Good one you guys, I didn't see that one coming. She held out a hoof for Pinkie Pie to slap it, only to pull it back each time for her too, but Naruto was quick enough to do so and smirked at her. Not so fast are you, Dash, Naruto laughed with the others joining in, while Fluttershy was poking at the toy in curiosity as the sun went down. That was fun, said Pinkie Pie bouncing around excitedly. You said it, Pinks, I hadn't enjoyed myself like this for a while, said Naruto with a foxy grin. How about we do this again tomorrow? Said Rainbow Dash, receiving nods from the others before they left for their homes. The next morning, Pinkie Pie was walking towards Rainbow Dash's home while wearing funny glasses, a fake arrow and mustache, clown nose and blowing a party horn. Then she stopped before a house on top of a cloud. Hey Rainbow Dash, wake up. It's a beautiful day and we've a lot of pranking too. She stopped in mid-sentence when a bird-like creature popped out and stared at her. Ooh. Oh hey Pinks, Rainbow Dash appeared from the roof of her home and landed before Pinkie Pie with the creature landing afterwards. Gilda, this is my gal pal, Pinkie Pie. Pinkie looked closely and saw that Gilda looked half eagle and half lion, with her eagle head covered with white feathers, yellow talons and large brown feathers. Hey, what's up? Said Gilda dryly. Pinkie, this is my griffin friend Gilda. What's a griffin? Asked Pinkie Pie. She's half eagle and half lion. And all awesome, Gilda and Rainbow Dash did their signature greeting. Gilda's been my best friend from my days at Junior Speedster Flight Camp. Hey, remember the chant? Of course, they've made us recite it every morning, I don't think I'll ever get it out of my head. Suo? Oh alright, since it's for you dash. They both flew into the air and started saying the chant, although Gilda wasn't so enthusiastic about it. Junior speedsters are our lives. Skybound soars and daring dives. Junior speedsters is our quest. To someday be the very best. Then they landed back on the ground. Oh that was awesome, and it just gave me some ideas for a prank. Would you like to join us, Gilda? Asked Pinkie Pie while blowing her party horn. Well, I'd love to play a prank as much as the next Griffin, but Dash promised we'd get a flying session this morning, said Gilda, while Rainbow Dash looked apologetic. Yeah, I hope you don't mind, Pinkie, since Gilda just got here and I wanted to show her around. But what about Naruto? Asked Pinkie, knowing that he would be a bit disappointed. You can tell him to meet up with me later, so see ya. With that, Rainbow Dash took off with Gilda, leaving a saddened Pinkie Pie to trudge back into town. Pinkie Pie was walking along the street when she heard someone call out to her from behind. Hey Pinks. I've been looking all over for you. She turned to see Naruto trotting up to her with a smile on his face. Are you ready for our pranks? I've even made some crystals last night, which can produce some flashy effects. Hey, where's Dash? I thought that she would come with you, asked Naruto, looking around for her. She's hanging out with her griffin friend Gilda, said Pinkie Pie. The griffin? Yeah, they've been friends since flight camp and said that she'll hang out with us later. I see, if that's the case we'll wait around a bit before we can have our fun. Hearing that cheered Pinkie Pie up as she hugged Naruto. You're right, I'll come and get you when the time comes, see you later. She then bounced off with Naruto smiling after her. Since I have a lot of free time, maybe I can do some odd jobs from the request board until then, Naruto muttered to himself before trotting towards the post office. Meanwhile, Rainbow Dash and Gilda were above town while performing loops until landing on top of a cloud to rest. That was sweet, just like old times, said Gilda. Yeah, but only faster, so now what? Asked Rainbow Dash. Suddenly Pinkie popped her head through the cloud. Hey there. It's later. And I caught up. Turns out, Pinkie Pie was using a trampoline to reach up to them. Oh Pinkie Pie, you're so random. But Gilda looked annoyed at Pinkie for showing up. Hey Dash, got any gas left to race up to that cloud? A race? You're so on. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. They both took off, leaving Pinkie Pie behind and passed through a cloud. I won. As if I won, dude. They both started to quarrel over who won the race, not noticing Pinkie Pie, who had risen up to them while having a dozen of balloons tied to her waist until she spoke up. The race was really close, but I think Rainbow Dash beat you by a teeny weeny itty bitty hair or a teeny weeny itty bitty feather. You see? It's a good thing Pinkie Pie's here to keep you honest, G, said Rainbow Dash. Gilda wasn't amused at all. Hey Dash, last one up that cloud is a gnarly dragon's egg. Go. They took off in a cloud of dust, but when it cleared it showed Gilda, who remained behind and was glaring at Pinkie. I think the altitude is making you dizzy. She proceeded to pop a few balloons with her talon, forcing Pinkie Pie to descend to the ground. But wait, guys. Gilda landed on the cloud next to Rainbow Dash, but didn't expect to see Pinkie Pie show again, this time riding some sort of contraption. Wow guys, you almost got away from me that time. The griffin was really getting annoyed by the pink mare, then she spoke to Rainbow Dash. So Dash, you got any new moves on your Trictionary, or are you still 100% old school? Are you kidding? I've got lots of tricks, even ones you've never seen before, thanks to a friend of mine. Let me show you. Rainbow Dash then flew off, giving Gilda an opportunity. Hey Pinkie, come here. Yes. Pinkie Pie came closer. Can't you take a hint? Dash doesn't need to hang out with dweebs like you, so why don't you make like a bee and buzz off? Gilda then grabbed onto the propeller, causing Pinkie's contraption to spin out of control and plummet to the ground right before Rainbow Dash came back. Try to beat that. Hey, where's Pinkie Pie and her crazy contraption? She asked. She left, something about being busy as a bee, said Gilda, looking down with self-satisfaction. Pinkie Pie got up from the ground while her contraption laid there wrecked and pouted at being snubbed like that. Later on, Rainbow Dash and Gilda were flying over the town when she heard her griffin friend speak up. Hey Dash, what do you think is that? She looked down to see something moving across the road at high speed while leaving behind a cloud of dust and realized who it might be. It must be my friend Naruto, said Rainbow Dash, excitedly flying towards him. Naruto? Gilda quirked an eyebrow before flying after her. As they drew close, Rainbow Dash called out to him. Hey Naruto. It skidded to a stop and the cloud cleared to reveal a unicorn with an orange coat and a spiky yellow mane with a cutie mark of a white maelstrom on his flank. He was also wearing a black and orange hoodie jacket, a black headband on his forehead, a pair of goggles and a medallion hung around his neck. Oh hey Dash, what's up? Naruto smiled happily, then he turned to face Gilda. And you must be Gilda. It's nice to meet a friend of Dash. A friend of Dash is a friend of mine. "Gilda, this is Naruto and he's a good friend of mine, he's been helping me out with my tricks and we often race each other," said Rainbow Dash excitedly. "Hold on, you mean that you actually race against him? Are you sure that you haven't been taking it easy on him?" asked Gilda, who was a bit skeptical. "We don't hold back on each other at all, why don't I prove it by having a race," said Naruto with a competitive look. "That sounds like a fun idea, Naruto, first one to reach the town square wins." Rainbow Dash settled on the ground and lined up with Naruto and Gilda. "There's still time for you to back out," Gilda smirked. "I'd advise not underestimating me, most ponies that did that ended up losing to me in the end," said Naruto with a grin. "Alright then, ready, set, go." The trio took off at high through the streets of the town. Gilda was stunned upon seeing that Naruto was able to keep up with them, as she had expected him to left behind in their dust, but here he was maneuvering through the obstacles and not losing any speed at all. "I've never seen a pony who can run that fast before, no wonder why Dash is so friendly with him," thought Gilda. They quickly banked right around a corner and Naruto sent chakra to his hooves to drift into a street where there were a lot of ponies walking around. Thinking quickly, he ran towards an empty cart and used it to launch himself to the rooftops. Then he slid down the walls and caught up with the others. They were neck and neck as they drew close to the town when Naruto suddenly fell behind. Gilda smirked thinking that the stallion had ran out of gas, then Naruto quickly overtook her and reached the finishing point in first place, Rainbow Dash in second and her in third. "Looks like I win," said Naruto with a foxy grin. "Hold up, how were you able to pass me when I saw you fall behind?" asked Gilda. "I think I know what Naruto did, he must have slowed down too behind you to reduce wind resistance before overtaking you like a slingshot," said Rainbow Dash. "That was fun, but I gotta go now since I have to complete some deliveries for the post office, so I'll see you around," said Naruto before trotting away. "Okay, see ya," Rainbow Dash waved at him while Gilda was glaring at him with jealousy. Later on, Naruto was strolling through the town market when his senses suddenly picked up sadness and he recognized it to be Fluttershy, quickly galloping towards it to see Fluttershy crying. "Shy, what happened, why are you crying?" asked Naruto worriedly. "It was Gilda Naru, she was being a big meanie and bullied Fluttershy," said Pinkie Pie, walking up to them. Gilda did what Naruto was shocked that a friend of Rainbow Dash would do that. Not only that, she played a mean trick on Granny Smith too. Naruto got angry upon hearing this as he doesn't like anyone precious to him get hurt, either physically or emotionally. "Which is why I'm gonna teach her a lesson, Pinkie Pie style. I hope you don't mind if I join in on this?" asked Naruto with a mischievous smirk, something Pinkie Pie mirrored before nodding as they started to plan. "Is this your idea of a party?" Gilda roared out in anger. That night, Naruto and Pinkie Pie, who were throwing a party at the Sugar Cube corner, had invited every pony including Gilda. However, Gilda had been falling for pranks like lemon drops coated with pepper, dribble cup full of punch, spitting snakes, and even trying to blow out relighting candles, all of which she suspected Pinkie Pie to be responsible for. Naruto was wondering when she was going to blow a fuse, it was finally the pin the tail on the pony that she did. "I've never seen much lamer dweebs in all of my life, and you Pinkie Pie are the queen lame-o with your weak little party pranks. Did you really think that you could make me lose my cool this way?" said Gilda, not noticing the look of shock which was on Rainbow Dash's face. "Rainbow Dash and I are much cooler than all of you." "Come on Dash, we're leaving." Gilda turned to leave, but noticed that Rainbow Dash wasn't following her. "Actually Gilda, the one who set up all of those pranks was me," said Rainbow Dash. "What? You've got to be kidding me Dash," said Gilda, who was shocked. "So I guess I'm the queen lame-o, huh?" "No way, it has to be Pinkie Pie. She must have set up all those pranks to make a fool out of me." "Me? I thought a good party might ease your mood, I should have known that dribble cup had Rainbow Dash's name all over," said Pinkie Pie innocently. "I fell for the lemon drop trick, Dash got me good that time," said Naruto. "You surely didn't need any help to make a fool out of yourself Gilda. I never thought that my old friends would treat my new friends this way, if being cool is all you care about, then you should go and find cooler friends elsewhere." "Fine then. When you stop being lame and want to be cool again, then you know where to find me," shouted Gilda, turning around and leaving. "Not cool," said Rainbow Dash watching her leave, then turning to the other ponies. "I'm really sorry about this every pony, I never thought that she would act this way. And Pinkie, I'm sorry that she ruined the party that you prepared for her." "Hey, if you wanted to hang out with party poopers then that's your business," said Pinkie Pie. "But I'm pretty sure that you would rather hang with us," said Naruto with a smirk. "You're right about that Naruto, so let's get this party rolling." Every pony cheered out loud and continued with the party. Naruto took a glance at the door and saw Yellowtail disappear before walking up to the others. Meanwhile, Gilda was walking along the road and kicking some pebbles in frustration. "I can't believe Dash chose those ponies over me after all that we've been through since flight camp." Then she heard someone approaching her from behind to turn to see that it was Naruto. "And what do you want here to gloat?" I'm rather here to find why you did that when you were different from the first time I met you, said Naruto walking up to her side. Why would you want to know? You don't know how it feels be alone, ignored by everyone. Naruto smiled bitterly, remembering someone saying those words before he became something like a brother. Why don't you try me? Gilda sat down on a hill and looked up to the night sky. When I was young, I entered flight camp thinking that it would be fun, but I was the only griffin there, and no one wanted to befriend me because of what I am. I guess it's because of the Great War, thought Naruto as he continued to listen. But then Rainbow Dash walked up to me, wanting to be my friend. At first I thought that she was pitying me, but as time went I started to enjoy hanging out with her as a friend. So when I came and saw her having fun with other ponies, I got scared thinking that she had forgotten about me. So you started being rude to others just to spend more time with Dash. Yeah, but I ended up having her hate me instead. Naruto looked at the griffin for a moment before facing the night sky. Back in my village, every pony hated me for something that was out of my control. They refused to look at me, and if they do then it would be with hatred. No one wanted to be friends either, and I was so lonely, I would have fallen into despair if it weren't for my teacher who reached out to me. Soon others joined him, and I considered them to be precious to me as they saved me from myself, so I swore to protect them no matter what the cost. Gilda looked at the pony in surprise. She thought that all ponies lived in a no-worries world. If so, then why are you here in Ponyville instead of your village? I had to leave under certain circumstances, never to return. But my bonds with them shall never be broken, said Naruto while tracing a hoof on his headband. But I broke mine with Dash and I'll be alone again. I wouldn't say that. I'm pretty sure that Dash still cares about you as she wanted you to hang out with us so that you would have more friends, so you just let this blow over for a while for everyone to calm down. Plus you already have another friend. Really? Who? Gilda turned to see Naruto grinning at her. You've been talking to him, remember what I said back then? A friend of Dash is a friend of mine, and I meant it. But I was so rude to everyone, Gilda stammered in surprise. Then let's start over. My name is Naruto Uzumaki and I'm a unicorn. It's nice to meet you, said Naruto holding out a hoof. Gilda looked at it before she smiled and grabbed it with a talon and shook it. My name is Gilda and I'm a griffin. It's nice to meet you too. Before you leave, I want you to have this. Naruto took out something from the pocket of his jacket and held it out for Gilda to see. It was a pair of goggles similar to the one Rainbow Dash wears around her neck. I made it after I left you with Dash, consider it a sign of our friendship. Gilda took the goggles and wore it around her neck. Thanks Naruto, and I hope that the next time we meet then we'll have a race again. Of course, train hard until then, said Naruto as he watched the griffin fly off into the night sky. Guess I'd better return to the party while my clone is still around. Naruto walked back into town while thinking of how he helped Rainbow Dash and Gilda become friends again. It was one fine morning in Ponyville, and Naruto was happily taking a stroll through the streets as he made his way to his shop, the Whirlpool. Ah, what a fine morning, a great start for another day in Ponyville. Makes me wonder what will happen today, Naruto wondered as he walked. Then he caught sight of Twilight and Spike, who was riding on her back before walking over to greet them. Good morning Twilight, you too Spike. Twilight smiled happily upon seeing Naruto show up. Good morning Naruto, it's nice to see you too, especially on a morning like this with no clouds in the sky. I guess Rainbow Dash woke up early this to clear the skies, said Spike while looking up at the sky, and Naruto was nodding in agreement. Then he started to look around. Of course, which makes it perfect for every pony to enjoy the sunshine. That is if there's any pony actually around to enjoy it, said Naruto as he continued to look around much to Twilight's confusion. What do you mean Naruto? I'm sure every pony is out. See Twilight trailed off when she followed Naruto gaze to see that there no pony around, almost as if it's a ghost town to point that they saw a tumbleweed roll by. Where is every pony? Could it be some sort of pony holiday? Asked Spike. Not that I know of, said Twilight, plus we would have heard about it the day before. Does my breath stink? Spike let out a belch of green flames before sniffing the air. Not like before. I see you have been eating those cyan-colored gems which you said tastes like mint, said Naruto with a smirk, only for Spike to copy his habit of rubbing the back of his head when he's embarrassed. But then could it be zombies? Twilight rolled her eyes at the question. That's highly unlikely Spike. Not likely but possible. Well, you have to admit, nothing is impossible here in Equestria, said Naruto. I mean, to all acorns raising the sun and moon is the norm around here. The same could be said for my own world, where controlling the very elements or even summoning giant animals is a normal day in the life of a ninja. Then they heard someone whisper as if calling out to them. Naruto looked around until he set his eyes on the sugar cube corner, where he saw Pinkie Pie poking her head through the door and waving a hoof at them to catch their attention. Twilight, Spike, Naru, come here. Get in here before she gets you, hurry, said Pinkie Pie. The trio looked at each other in confusion before they quickly ran into the shop and closed the door behind them. The room was dark, so Pinkie Pie used a flashlight to light up the room a bit. What's going on, Pinks? Why are you here alone in the dark? Asked Naruto. I'm not alone, Naru, Pinky replied. Naruto squinted into the darkness to see that Rarity, Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy and Applejack along with Apple Bloom are also inside with them. Okay, so what are you all doing here in the dark, and who are you talking about that will get us? Asked Twilight. We're hiding from her. Applejack moved the curtains at the window and pointed outside. Naruto and Twilight looked through to see a pony wearing a dark brown cloak with a hood up and was digging at the ground. Due to the cloak covering most of the pony, all they could see was mostly her snout. When the pony glanced their way, it made everyone flinch away from the window, with the exception of Naruto and Twilight. Did you see her, Twilight, Naruto? Did you see Sakura? Asked Apple Bloom, but she got snapped at by Applejack. Apple Bloom, I told you never to say that name. Well, we saw her glance this way, said Twilight. Glance evilly this way, said Pinkie Pie walking up to Twilight before she was pushed back by said pony. And a bunch of you flipped out for no good reason. No good reason? You call protecting your kin no good reason? Said Applejack while holding Apple Bloom close to her. As soon as my sister saw Sakura walk right into this town, she started shaking in her little horseshoes, so I swept her up and carried her here. I wasn't shaking and I walked here by myself. I'm not a baby and I can take care of myself, said Apple Bloom breaking free of her sister's grip. Why are you guys so scared of Sakura? I don't see or sense anything off about her from here, said Naruto as he turned away from the window after looking at the pony digging at the ground. She's mysterious, said Fluttershy. Sinister, said Rainbow Dash. And spooky, said Pinkie Pie. This had Naruto quirk an eyebrow at them before he turned to look at the window with Twilight, only for the others look over them as well. They let out a gasp when they saw Sakura pull down her hood to reveal her other features. Well, would you look at those stripes, it's so garish, said Rarity. She's a zebra, said Twilight. A what? Every pony asked, even Naruto was curious about it. A zebra and her stripes aren't a fashion choice, Rarity, she was born with them just like Naruto was born with those whisker marks of his, said Twilight, although Rarity fainted dramatically over it. But born where? I've never seen like that in these parts, except her. Applejack shuddered at the thought of there being more of her. Well, she's probably not from around here and she's not a pony. My books say that zebra come from a faraway land, but I've never seen her in Ponyville. Where does she live? That's just it. She lives in the Everfree Forest, said Applejack. Then there was a boom of thunder oddly followed by a clutter of pans, then turned to see Spike holding a candy cane and a muffin with pans lying about in the kitchen. Spike was looking sheepish. Sorry about that. Naruto looked surprised upon hearing where she lived. So she lives in the Everfree Forest, huh? There might a chance that she saw me during one of my walks, he thought, but I don't see what's so bad about her, she doesn't look bad to me. But Naru, she is evil, said Pinkie Pie. Naruto frowned a bit at what she said. I even made a song about it. Oh boy, here we go again, Rainbow Dash signed with exasperation as Pinkie Pie started to sing her song, and when she finished, Naruto looked really annoyed. I don't like the way you guys are treating her. Has she done anything to anyone here in Ponyville that you're judging her like that? Asked Naruto. No, but Applejack began but interrupted by Naruto. But you judge her just because she looks and acts different. You're doing the very same thing that the villagers did to me back in my old world. Naruto's right, we all saw how they treated him like he was the nine-tailed fox when we watched his memories, and this is no different. Imagine seeing Naruto in Sakura's place right now, said Twilight. The mares looked downcast when they thought about it. Sorry Naruto, I guess we were too scared to approach her and just base things off what we saw, said Rainbow Dash, making Naruto smile a bit. It's okay, how about we meet Sakura and get to know her better? Said Naruto. Sure, I would like to get a new friend even if she's a zebra, said Pinkie Pie. I'm all for it, said Rainbow Dash. Alright, let's go. She couldn't have gone far, said Naruto. He left for the Everfree Forest with the others following him. But he noticed that not all of them are here. Where did Apple Bloom go? Maybe she stayed behind at the sweet shop. Soon enough they had entered the forest, although to Naruto who has been entering to train or explore, but the mare don't know that. After passing through the forest and stopping on a field on blue flowers, they finally caught up with the cloaked zebra, but they also saw someone whom even Applejack is familiar as well as angry with. Apple Bloom, what are you doing here? And more importantly, you get back here right now, shouted Applejack angrily. I thought she stayed behind at the sugar cube corner. Why didn't I think to sense her before we left, thought Naruto. Beware you ponyfolk, those leaves of blue are not a joke, said Sakura before she backed away into a mist and disappeared from their sight. Applejack immediately went over to Apple Bloom and scooped her up to her back. Well, you keep your crazy mumbo jumbo to yourself, you hear? Said Applejack, with the others agreeing with her except Naruto, who simply shook his head in disappointment at their behavior, and Twilight. And as for you, why didn't you listen to your big sister? Who knows what kind of curse Sakura would have put on you. Apple Bloom felt ashamed at being told off. Then Applejack turned to Naruto and Twilight, and you were wrong about Sakura. Who knows what would have happened if we hadn't come in time. Well, I still believe that we shouldn't judge Sakura based on rumors, said Naruto. And besides, curses aren't real and are nothing more than a fairy tale, said Twilight. Well, you two better wait and see that some fairy tales do come true. Applejack then turned and left with the others following her, leaving Naruto and Twilight. Maybe we should go home and try to sort this out with the others tomorrow, said Naruto. You're right, I could check through the books to prove to them that curses don't exist, said Twilight. Then they both left the forest to their individual homes. The next day, Celestia's sun had risen to begin the start of a nice peaceful morning. Kai. Well, not so peaceful when one hears a scream which strangely came from the Uzumaki mansion. Meanwhile, Twilight got up from her bed with a groan. She had a dream about the arguments which she and Naruto had with Applejack and the others. What a dream, curses schmerses. Whoa. Said Twilight went to look at her reflection on the mirror to see her bed had hair. Maybe Sakura cursed my hair. When she levitated the comb to fix her hair, she saw something was wrong, and it had something to do with her horn, which was floppy and covered in blue polka dots, or she cursed my horn. Later, Twilight and Spike were browsing through every single book in the library to find out what's going on with her horn. No. None of these books have a cure. Twilight groaned in frustration at not finding the answer. There has to be a real reason for this, an illness. An allergy. A curse. Said Spike, who was holding a green book with the picture of an herb on it. I meant a real reason, something that points to something real like a fact. How about this one? Spike held the book for her to read the title. Supernaturals. Twilight then stared at Spike with a deadpan expression. Spike, the word supernatural refers to things like spirits and ghosts and zombies, which is make-believe curses, nothing but a bunch of hooey. But what if you're wrong, Twilight? What if it is a first? Twilight and Spike turned to the voice to see that it was Pinkie Pie, but the strange thing is that her tongue was swollen and covered in blue polka dots as well. A purse? How can it be a purse? Asked a confused Spike. Pinkie? What happened to you? Asked Twilight with concern. He paused. Sakura. Ste put a curse on me. Pinkie Pie tried to talk, but her swollen wasn't making it easy and was sending saliva all over Spike, who was wiping it off. Hey, say it, don't spray it. Then they heard something hitting the window and saw that it was Rainbow Dash, who was constantly crashing into it. It took a few minutes before she broke through the door and ended up getting stuck in a stepladder. She's trying to say that Sakura slapped us with a curse. I'm afraid I have to agree. The next pony to show up was Rarity. Well, what looks like her, since the hair rather has a dreadlock appearance and covered her from head to hoof. I hate to say I told you so, Twilight, but I told you so. The group let out a gasp of surprise when the high-pitched voice belonged to Applejack, who had shrunken to a miniature size and is currently standing on Apple Bloom's back. It's a curse, I tell ya. But Fluttershy seems fine. Every pony turns to look at the shy mare. Yes, there doesn't seem to be a thing wrong with her, said Rarity. Fluttershy, are you okay? Asked Twilight, only to receive a shake of the head from her. Is there something with you? An odd, would you care to tell us? A shake. Suo, you're not going to tell us? An odd, yes you're not, or yes you will. An odd. Applejack finally had enough. Squeaked out, good gravy girl. What's wrong with you? I don't want to talk about it, said Fluttershy in a rather deep masculine voice which they've never heard. Then they heard a feminine voice from the doorway. Looks like I wasn't the only one who woke up looking strange. They turned around to see a mare with a coat of orange, but the strange thing is that she has the same whiskers marks, wears the same clothes, and even bears the same cutie mark that Naruto has. The only difference was that she has her hair in twin ponytails and her eyelashes are a bit longer. Naruto? Is that you? Asked Twilight. Yeah, it's me. I found myself looking like this when I woke up. At first I thought it was my sexy jutsu and tried to release it, but it didn't work, so I decided to come here and find out what's going on, only to find you guys looking like this. Sexy jutsu? Asked Rarity. It's something that I created on my own as a way of pranking perverts, although the girls would try to beat me up whenever I use it. Spike started laughing at how they look now. This is hilarious. Look at all of you. We got. He pointed at Rarity Harity, to Rainbow Dash Rainbow Crash, to Pinkie Pie Spitty Pie, to Applejack Appletini, to Fluttershy Flutterguy, but he had a confused look when pointed at Naruto and Twilight, and I got nothing on the both of you. I don't even know where to start with your names. Well, you can call me Naruko, it's what I usually go by when I'm in this form, said Naruto with an amused look on his face. That name actually fits your new look, said Spike, nodding in agreement. Naruto, Spike, this is no time for joking around now. Help me find more books so I can start on looking for a cure. Said Twilight. Spike gave a groan before walking off to do as he was told. Rainbow Dash managed to get herself free from the stepladder. I think we'll find a cure to this curse at Sakura's place. It's not a curse. Twilight quickly spoke. I agree with Dash. We go to Sakura's and force her to remove this hex, said Applejack. It's not a hex either. Soon enough every pony started to argue with the exception of Naruto, who was watching with a frown on his face. I don't know much, but aren't curses cast by using chants or potions? But Sakura said didn't even sound like a chant. Best thing to do is go to Sakura's place and find out what's going on. Naruto was about to speak up when noticed that some pony was missing amongst them. Where did Apple Bloom go? Don't tell me she went to the Everfree Forest to find Sakura again. I'd better go after her. Naruto quietly left the arguing ponies and then dashed towards the Everfree Forest in hopes of catching up with Apple Bloom before she gets herself into trouble and maybe learn more about Sakura while he's at it. I don't care what you say, Twilight, said Rainbow Dash. I say we confront Sakura. I'm sure Naruto agrees with me, right Naruto? They all turned to the Genderbin pony only to see that he was nowhere to be seen. Where did he go? Asked Rarity. No, only that, but Applejack and Apple Bloom's gone too, said Twilight. I bet they went after Sakura, said Rainbow Dash. Well, we better go after them, come on girls. Twilight led the way with the others close behind, although in Rainbow Dash's state, she was trying to follow them despite her messed up flight coordination and had to be helped by Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie. Spike stayed behind to look for a cure among the books. Meanwhile Apple Bloom was galloping through the dark forest. She skidded to a stop when she heard a familiar from the top of her head. Stop right there. Applejack popped out of Apple Bloom's mane with a frown on her face. Turn around right now, Missy. Apple Bloom smirked after coming up with an idea. No, you can't ignore a direct order from your big sister. Apple Bloom nodded her head hard enough to toss Applejack before catching her in her mouth. Then she walked over and dropped Applejack onto a branch which is hanging over a ridge. Sorry Applejack, I'm the big sister now. Then she walked away with a smile on her face. Apple Bloom, you come back here right this instant. I'm gonna tell Big Macintosh and Naruto on you. Applejack yelled after her only to be ignored. Then she started to pout at her current situation. Aw, pony feathers. Then she saw something dart through the trees and felt uneasily. What was that? I hope Naruto and the others have noticed that we're gone and will come to find us. Meanwhile, Twilight and the others had just entered the forest and were on their way to Sakura's place. Rarity kept tripping on her hair and ended up getting twigs and mud on it. Rainbow Dash wasn't having it any easier as she kept crashing into bushes and trees until she crashed into the tree that Applejack was on. Rainbow? Thanks Celestia, there's no time to lose, we've got to get to Apple Bloom fast before it's too late. Applejack quickly made a makeshift muzzle out of a twig and vines and forced it into Rainbow Dash's mouth before climbing on her giddy-up pony. Rainbow Dash was a bit miffed at being treated like a ride. Excuse me. Hee-haw. Applejack gave a jerk with her hoof and had Rainbow Dash taking off after in a bit more controlled flight. Soon, they reached a hut which was built into a tree with some tiki masks at the doorstep and several gourds hanging from the branch while tied to vines. Ugh, I look horrible, said Rarity as she came up to the others while covered in dirt. This place looks horrible, said Pinkie Pie while raising Rarity's bangs for her to see more clearly. Oh my, that place really does look horrible. They all snuck quietly to the window and took a peek through it. Inside the hut were more masks, gourds and some candles. Nice decorations, if you like creepy. Then a door opened to reveal Sakura walking through it. She was a zebra with black and white stripes with a bit gray of gray there. Her mane is shaped like a mohawk and wears jewelry in the form of golden bangles around her neck, left hoof and hoop rings on her ears, and her cutie mark is a gray stylized spiral sun. She walked to a large bubbling cauldron with a container in her mouth and poured purple sprinkles into it. Then she started speaking in a language that the ponies don't recognize. Ste stole my song. Ste stole millimeters, said Pinkie Pie with a voice of accusation. She stole your song? Said Rarity with Pinkie Pie nodding in affirmation. But it doesn't sound anything like your song, said Twilight. Pinkie tried to prove by singing the song, but her swollen tongue made it impossible to do so. So she turned to Fluttershy with a pleading look as if asking to sing the song for her. Fluttershy sighed in resignation before she started singing in that deep voice of hers. Well, now that you've seen all those terrible things, do you now believe us, Twilight? Asked Rarity. Well, scary looking masks, confusing incantations, and a great big bubbling cauldron. It all points to Sakura being bad, or maybe she's just making soup, said Twilight as an attempt to deny what she was thinking, but at moment she heard Sakura say something that pretty much crushed it. The perfect temperature for ponies, I presume. Now where is that little Apple Bloom? Or maybe she's making Apple Bloom soup. Hearing this had the ponies to start screaming. Then maybe she ate Naruto first, said Rainbow Dash. Applejack snapped the reins and had the Pegasus perform a nose dive for the door. I'm coming for you, Apple Bloom. They broke through, but they ended crashing into many things with Sakura shouting in that strange language, as if telling them to stop what they're doing, then the others barged in looking very angry. Alright Sakura, what did you do to Naruto and where's Apple Bloom? No. Sakura was still yelling that unknown language. Applejack brought out her lasso, using it to latch onto one of Sakura's ear, before jumping at it and started to wrestle. Meanwhile an out-of-control rainbow dash crashed into the cauldron, spilling its contents to the floor. Sakura knelt over the content looking very upset. No. You know not what you do. You've gone and spilled my precious brew. We're on to you Sakura, Naruto and I didn't want to believe you cursed us, but the evidence is overwhelming. Said Twilight. You made look ridiculous. Said Rarity. You made me sound ridiculous. Said Fluttershy. Pinkie Pie tried to talk, but the tongue was still making it hard for the other to get what she's saying. You ruined my horn. Twilight finished the line of complaints. But it was Sakura's turn to be angry with them. How dare you? You destroy my home, destroy my work. Then rudely accuse me of being a jerk. Indeed the room had been pretty much trashed from Rainbow Dash's flight problem. Well you put the curse on us, so now you're gonna uncurse us. Said Rainbow Dash although she still has the muzzle in her mouth. It is unwise to venture down this road. Your action will make my anger explode. But Twilight stepped forward and butted heads with Sakura. Where is Naruto and Apple Bloom? What the hey is going on here? And why is the whole place messed up? A feminine but familiar voice rang out and everyone turned to see Naruto standing with Apple Bloom, who was carrying a bag by his side, and they both looked confused. You guys are okay? Applejack exclaimed. Of course we are, what makes you say that? Asked Apple Bloom. We thought Sakura is an evil enchantress wanted to make soup out of you too. Said Twilight. There was a moment of silence until it was broken by laughter from Naruto, Apple Bloom and Sakura. I guess Applejack and the others finally got to you Twilight, there's no such as a curse, said Naruto after he stopped laughing. Naruto, you can't just tell us that all this including yourself isn't because of a curse, Twilight pointed to the others before pointing at Naruto. It's not a curse, it never was to begin with, said Apple Bloom as she walked over to Sakura. If you all remember back, the words I spoke are just exact, said Sakura, then the pony recalled her saying something about blue flower. Yeah, I remember that we were walking on them, said Rainbow Dash. Sakura was trying to warn us of the plant not curse us, said Naruto. The name of the plant is Poison Joke, said Apple Bloom. The plant is much like poison oak. But its results are like a joke, Sakura explained. What the hey does that mean? Asked Applejack who was standing on top of Sakura's head. It means this plant does not breed wrath. Instead this plant just wants a laugh. Applejack was silent for a moment before finally speaking up. Will some pony please speak normal? I think what she's saying is that when we ran into Apple Bloom, we ran into the poison joke. All of our problems were nothing more than little jokes played on us, said Twilight. Little jokes haha very funny. It makes me wonder what kind of chaos that I would have created if I had these plants back home. I'm sure my name would have gone down further in legends as the ultimate prankster, said Naruto with a mischievous grin. Many citizens in the Hidden Leaf felt a chill run down their spine at that moment. Then Rainbow Dash spoke. Okay, but what about the cauldron? And the chanting? Asked Fluttershy. And the creepy decor? Asked Rarity. Treasures of the native land where I'm from, Sakura pointed at one of the masks. This one speaks hello, and this welcome. Not very welcoming, if you ask me, said Rarity. The words I chanted were from olden times. Something you call a nursery rhyme. What about the cauldron, the Apple Bloom soup? Asked Twilight. This time it was Apple Bloom herself who spoke. Twilight, listen, when I ventured into the Everfree Forest to speak with Sakura, Naruto caught up with me and we both went to see her together. When we told her what happened, Sakura gave us a list of herbs for us to collect in order to make a cure for the poison joke. So what you call soup was nothing more than a bubble bath for you guys to take to cure yourselves of the poison joke. Then she pointed at an open book on the table which Twilight went to read and instantly found the cure. But I tried to find the cure in all of my books and couldn't find anything, said Twilight. Then Sakura closed the book to reveal an all too familiar title. Here is the book you see. Sad that you lack it in your library, said Sakura. Twilight felt disappointed in herself as she looked at the book. Actually I do have this book, but I didn't look inside because the title was so weird. Then she looked at the title again. Supernaturals. Natural remedies and cure-alls that are simply super. I'm so sorry Sakura. I had the answer the whole time, if only I had bothered to look inside. Sakura chuckled softly as she looked at the other ponies who felt the same way. Maybe next time you will take a second and not judge the cover of the book. That sounds just like what my teacher says to always look underneath the underneath, said Naruto as he reminisced the past. What do you mean by that Naruto? Asked Twilight. During the beginning of my career as a ninja, my teacher taught me that there's more to things than meets the eye, so you have to learn more about it from different perspectives. At first I didn't get it since I was just starting out with my teammates, but I slowly understood as time went on. That definitely sounds like good advice. Then Twilight turned to Zecora. Would you be kind enough to mix up another batch of the herbal bath? Mix it up, I certainly will. Yet I am missing a herb from Ponyville, said Zecora, pointing to one of the pictures on the book. But every time Zecora comes to town, all the shops are mysteriously closed, said Applebloom. I'm sure we can fix that easily, right girls, said Naruto with a knowing smile. Definitely, Twilight smiled back. Later on, Naruto and others explained to the ponies of Ponyville about Zecora's true origins to get rid of the silly rumors, and they welcomed the zebra into the town. They were also able to gather more of the ingredients needed for the cure, and the ponies who owned the spa agreed to let them make the bubble bath there. Ah, it feels so good to be my beautiful self again, said Rarity, who had her hair restored to pristine condition. You said it, Rarity, I'm not so little anymore, said Applejack back to her normal size. Oh, my gosh. I never realized how horrible it is not to talk. I mean, I love talking so much, and when I couldn't talk anymore, my tongue was all It was the worst. Don't you agree, Fluttershy? There was a pause from Fluttershy before she finally spoke. Yes, in her normal voice. Naruto smiled happily as he stood outside after taking the bath, but he could hear the ponies laughing, but he quirked when he heard Rarity say something. You know, when I saw Naruto as a girl, I had some fabulous ideas for some dresses. Too bad he's a male again. But didn't Naruto say that he created that jutsu? So that must mean that he can change into a girl again, said Twilight. Naruto felt a chill crawl up his spine and started to sneak away when he heard a voice from behind. Naruto, could you help me with something please? Naruto slowly turned around to see Rarity right behind him with a glint in her eyes. Well, you see. I think I left my ramen on the stove, wouldn't want it to burn. See ya. Naruto took off with Rarity chasing after him while trying to use her magic to catch him with the others watching them and laugh. Come back, Naruto. There's this dress I really want you to try out, shouted Rarity. I'll pass on that and stop calling me Naruto. I'm not a girl anymore, shouted Naruto as he darted left and right to avoid Rarity's magic. I can't believe that I'm agreeing with Iruka-sensei when he says that the sexy jutsu is a stupid one. Chapter end. Alright, that's it for today's video guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Peace out.